were you able to find out a little bit more who he was as a human? Because obviously, you know, there's iconic photographies, there's movies, but there's not enough to know.
Yeah, I felt like I was. There's a lot of books that are written about him. And it's interesting to read all of the books and read all the different things that are written about him. And to, you know, it was fun because they're all written by different people, so you start to look at who wrote this one and what perspective are they coming from, and also in all the books, what is undeniably the truth about him, and how does that inform who he really was as a person. It was really fun to do that research.
It was so interesting to consider that he was a real turning point in how Hollywood worked at the time, you know, in his, you know, rebellious attitude, but actually in being himself. That was quite refreshing. Do you agree?
Well, I agree that what he was doing was pretty revolutionary and refreshing, but I think what he was doing was a kind of acting that the world had never seen before. I think that he, you know, definitely in like Rebel Without a Cause, he got cast in the role of a rebel, but I think that, and there were definitely things he did in his life that were rebellious, but I think that ultimately he was passionate about acting, and he was able to fully inhabit a role in a way that, and he was so emotionally available that people responded to it in a way that they hadn't responded to many performances in films. And I think that now, and it really, him and Marlon Brando and, you know, Paul Newman, they did a kind of acting that people are still doing today, but had never been done up to that point. And to go back and watch the films where James Dean is doing this is a really exciting thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kept thinking during the movie that, let's say this story was transposed, let's say James Dean was living in the age of social media, how things would have been different. What do you think?
I don't know. You know, I don't know if James Dean would have been on Twitter.
Yeah.
Probably not. He probably wouldn't. He'd probably be pretty against the whole thing.
Maybe Instagram, if someone else did.
Yeah, probably not Instagram. You know, he would probably have. You know, James Dean had a hard time dealing with the publicity aspect of the business. So it would probably weigh him down a lot if he had to deal with all the paparazzi following him. And but you know, that being said, two of his films didn't come out until after he died. So he didn't get like super duper famous until after his death, actually, which is sad, but true. What
for you makes him so iconic? I mean, obviously there's a premature death, but there was so much more to that.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's like I said, he represents a new wave of acting, a kind of acting that I respond to in a really visceral way, and a kind of acting that is really the kind of acting I try to do. You know, he was one of the first people to kind of be classically trained method actor in the traditional sense of the word, and to me that's what's iconic about him. That's what's revolutionary about him, which maybe isn't, to other people it's his image of being a rebel or being the definition of cool and all that, but I think all of that was really a byproduct of how amazing he was at what he did.
Talking about that, you're always in interesting roles in an interesting way. How important is it for you that the role is something you feel that you can become a character in, that you can lose yourself in?
Yeah, well, that's the goal, you know. Sometimes it's fun when I don't know if I can do it or not. You know, that's the challenge, and that's how I think I'll grow as an actor. But the goal is to always lose myself in the roles, but also trying to find the roles that might be the most difficult to do that, because I think that's how I'll grow the most.
Yeah, that's very true. And finally, the Oscars are approaching. Who are you supporting to win an Oscar this year? Who's been your favorite?
Well, I think my favorite movie is Grand Budapest Hotel. Yeah, I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I loved that movie, and I think, didn't it premiere at Berlin last year? So it's amazing that it's, you know, survived the fall and all that, and I'm so happy because I love that movie. It's great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So did Boyhood, by the way, premiered here.
Yeah, Boyhood. Yeah.
So it's an interesting festival to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.